There is an ancient posture that martial artists have used for centuries to build unshakable legs, rock-solid balance, and mental clarity that borders on meditation. And here is the surprising part. It does not require you to move at all. You simply stand still. But what you feel happening inside your body after just 60 seconds might change everything you thought you knew about building strength after 50. This is the horse stance. And if you have never heard of it, you are about to discover why researchers, physical therapists, and longevity experts are now calling it one of the most underrated exercises for aging bodies. Now, before you dismiss this as some mystical Eastern practice that does not apply to you, consider this. A growing body of research suggests that isometric holds like the horse stance may activate muscle fibers that traditional exercises completely miss. We are talking about the deep stabilizers, the ones responsible for keeping you upright when you step off a curb, the ones that prevent your knees from buckling when you carry groceries up the stairs, the ones that quietly deteriorate after 50 unless you specifically challenge them. And here is where it gets interesting. Unlike squats or lunges that put your joints through repetitive motion, the horse stance keeps everything still. Your knees stay in one position, your hips do not rotate, your spine remains neutral, yet every muscle from your ankles to your core is working intensely just to hold you there. It is effort without impact, strength without strain. And for anyone dealing with joint sensitivity, past injuries, or simply wanting a gentler path to powerful legs, this changes the game entirely. But there is a catch. Most people do this wrong. And when you do it wrong, you feel nothing but discomfort in all the wrong places. So today, we are going to break down exactly what happens inside your body when you practice horse stance correctly. We will look at the science behind why static holds build strength differently than movement. We will explore the specific benefits for balance, bone density, and even cognitive function. And most importantly, I will show you how to start safely, no matter your current fitness level. By the end of this video, you will understand why a posture that looks like you are sitting on an invisible chair might be the missing piece in your mobility routine. And you will have a clear step-by-step approach to trying it yourself without putting your knees or back at risk. Let us begin with something that might surprise you. When most people think about building leg strength, they imagine movement, squats going up and down, lunges stepping forward and back, leg presses pushing weight away. But here is what exercise science has revealed over the past 2 decades. Static holds, where you maintain a position without moving, activate your muscles in a completely different way. And that difference matters enormously after 50. You see, your muscles contain different types of fibers. Some are designed for quick, explosive movements. Others are built for endurance and sustained effort. And then there are the deep stabilizer muscles that do not really care about movement at all. Their job is to hold you steady, to keep your joints aligned, to prevent you from wobbling when you stand on one leg or losing your balance when the ground shifts beneath you. These stabilizer muscles respond best to something called time under tension. The longer you hold a challenging position, the more these fibers have to work. And unlike the muscles you build through repetitive motion, these stabilizers directly influence your balance, your posture, and your ability to catch yourself before a fall. Now, here is what makes the horse stance particularly effective. When you sink into this wide leg position with your thighs parallel or near parallel to the ground, you create tremendous demand on your quadriceps, your inner thigh muscles, your glutes, and your deep hip stabilizers all at once. But because you are not moving, your joints experience minimal shear force. Your knees are bent but not repeatedly flexing. Your hips are loaded but not rotating under pressure. This is why physical therapists often recommend isometric exercises for people recovering from knee surgery or managing arthritis. The muscle activation is high, but the joint stress is low. And the horse stance takes this principle to an entirely new level by engaging your entire lower body simultaneously. But the benefits extend far beyond muscle activation. And this is the part that truly caught my attention. When researchers at a major university in Japan studied practitioners of traditional martial arts, they found something unexpected. Those who regularly practiced horse stance showed significantly better scores on balance tests compared to age-matched controls who did conventional strength training. The difference was not small. We are talking about measurably improved stability that translated directly into reduced fall risk. Why would standing still in one position improve your balance more than exercises that actually challenge your balance? The answer lies in what scientists call proprioceptive training. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense where it is in space. It is the reason you can touch your nose with your eyes closed. It is why you can walk without looking at your feet. And it is one of the first things to decline as we age. The horse stance demands constant proprioceptive feedback. Even though you appear motionless, your body is making hundreds of micro adjustments every second. Your ankles are subtly shifting. Your hips are constantly stabilizing. Your core is firing to keep your spine aligned. All of this sensory information floods your brain, essentially training your nervous system to maintain balance under load. And there is another layer to this that most people never consider. Your brain does not distinguish between types of balance challenges. When you train your nervous system to maintain stability in the horse stance, that improved neural wiring transfers to everyday activities. Stepping over obstacles, walking on uneven surfaces, catching yourself when you trip. The same pathways you strengthen holding this position are the ones that protect you when life throws something unexpected your way. Now, let us talk about what happens to your joints when you practice this correctly. One of the biggest concerns people over 50 have about any lower body exercise is knee health, and rightfully so. The cartilage in your knees has been absorbing impact for decades. The last thing you want is an exercise that accelerates wear and tear. But here is what makes the horse stance different from almost every other leg exercise. In a properly performed horse stance, your knees track directly over your toes. They do not collapse inward. They do not extend past your feet. They simply stay in one position, holding a moderate bend that actually corresponds to the angle where your knee joint is most stable. This is not the deep flexion of a full squat where compression forces peak. This is a mid-range position where the load distributes evenly across the joint surface. And something remarkable happens when you hold this position. The sustained muscular contraction around your knee creates what researchers call a co-contraction effect. Your quadriceps are working to hold the bend. Your hamstrings are working to control the angle. This simultaneous activation from opposing muscle groups essentially hugs your knee joint from all sides, providing stability that actually protects the cartilage rather than grinding it down. But there is something else happening that you cannot see and might not feel until weeks later. Your body responds to sustained loading by strengthening not just muscles, but also the connective tissues around your joints. Tendons, ligaments, and even the joint capsule itself adapt to the demands you place on them. This process takes time, which is exactly why consistency matters more than intensity when you are starting out. Now, before I show you how to begin, I need to address something that most videos about horse stance completely ignore. This exercise is not suitable for everyone in its traditional form. If you have had knee replacement surgery, certain hip conditions, or severe balance impairments, you need modifications. And even if you have no specific issues, jumping into a deep horse stance after years of minimal exercise is a recipe for soreness and frustration. The key is progression, and this is where the approach changes everything. Let me walk you through a starting point that works for almost anyone, regardless of your current strength or flexibility. First, find a wall, stand with your back against it, feet about shoulder width apart, and slightly away from the wall so your back can slide down. Now, slowly lower yourself until your thighs form roughly a 45-degree angle with the ground. This is not the full horse stance. This is your entry point. A wall-supported position that takes balance out of the equation and lets you focus purely on building strength in your legs. Hold this for 15 seconds, then stand up. Rest for 30 seconds, repeat 3 times. That is your entire first session. If 15 seconds feels challenging, that is perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. If it feels easy, we will progress soon enough. But the goal in these early days is to teach your muscles and joints what you are asking of them without creating inflammation or excessive soreness. After a week of wall-supported practice, something interesting starts to happen. Your body adapts. The same position that felt difficult becomes manageable. Your muscles recover faster. Your joints feel less stiff the morning after. This is the signal to progress. Now you widen your stance. Instead of shoulder width, move your feet a few inches farther apart. This small change increases the demand on your inner thighs and opens your hips into a position closer to the traditional horse stance. Everything else stays the same. Back against the wall. 45-degree thigh angle. 15-second holds. Once this becomes comfortable, usually another week or two, you are ready for the next step. Lower your position slightly. Instead of a 45-degree angle, aim for your thighs to be closer to parallel with the ground. Not perfectly parallel, just closer. This increases the time under tension for your quadriceps significantly. Your muscles will know the difference immediately. This progression continues. Wider stance, lower position, longer holds. Each variable changes one at a time, giving your body the chance to adapt without overwhelming it. But here is where most people make a critical mistake. They try to leave the wall too soon. The traditional horse stance is performed away from any support, which means your balance system has to work constantly. If you have not built sufficient leg strength, you will compensate by shifting your weight in ways that stress your knees and lower back. You will fatigue quickly and your form will collapse. And then you will conclude that horse stance is not for you, when really you just skipped essential steps. Stay with the wall until you can comfortably hold a wide stance with your thighs near parallel for 60 seconds. This usually takes 4 to 8 weeks of consistent practice. Once you reach this milestone, your legs are strong enough to support your body without the wall, and your joints have adapted to the demands of the position. Now, let us talk about what happens when you step away from the wall. The moment you perform horse stance without support, everything changes. Suddenly, your core has to engage much more intensely to keep your torso upright. Your hip stabilizers, which had been somewhat relaxed against the wall, now work constantly to prevent you from swaying. Your ankles become active participants rather than passive supports. This is where the balance benefits truly emerge. Start with a shorter hold, maybe 20 seconds, and keep a wall or sturdy chair within arm's reach for the first several sessions. You are not cheating by having support nearby. You are being intelligent about managing risk while your nervous system adapts to the new challenge. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. The same position that required intense concentration becomes almost automatic. Your body learns the balance. Your muscles remember the activation patterns. What once felt like maximum effort starts to feel like simply standing in a slightly unusual way. This is when the real work begins. At this stage, you can start adding duration, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Eventually, the traditional 1-minute hold that martial artists have practiced for centuries. And here is where the mental benefits become undeniable. Holding horse stance for 60 seconds or longer requires focus. Your mind wants to wander. Your legs are burning. Every instinct tells you to stand up, but you do not. You breathe. You stay present. You maintain the position despite discomfort. This is a form of mental training that carries over into every other challenging situation in your life. Research on isometric exercise has shown that prolonged holds activate regions of the brain associated with emotional regulation and stress tolerance. The discipline required to maintain an uncomfortable position when you could simply stop appears to strengthen neural pathways involved in self-control. For anyone dealing with anxiety, stress, or simply wanting more mental resilience, this matters. But there is a practical element too that often gets overlooked. Many seniors report that their biggest limitation is not strength or flexibility, but the ability to maintain uncomfortable positions when necessary. Getting up from a low chair, waiting in line for extended periods, playing with grandchildren on the floor. These situations require sustained muscular effort in awkward positions, and nothing prepares you for them better than practice. The horse stance teaches your body to be comfortable when uncomfortable. It builds tolerance for positions that would otherwise cause quick fatigue, and this tolerance translates directly into greater independence and capability in daily life. Now, let me address some specific situations that might apply to you. If you have knee discomfort, the key is starting higher. Instead of aiming for thighs parallel to the ground, begin with just a slight bend, maybe 15 or 20 degrees. This dramatically reduces the load on your knee joint while still engaging the surrounding muscles. Progress downward only as your knees allow, and never push into pain. Discomfort from muscle effort is acceptable. Sharp or burning sensation in the joint itself is not. If balance is your primary concern, stay with wall-supported practice longer. There is no rush to progress to unsupported horse stance. The leg strength and joint adaptation you build against the wall are valuable in themselves. When and if you do step away from the wall, keep a support within reaching distance for as long as you need it. If you have hip restrictions, experiment with your foot angle. Traditional horse stance has the toes pointing forward or slightly outward, but some people find that rotating the feet a bit more outward, up to 45 degrees, allows their hips to settle into the position more comfortably. Listen to your body. The best stance angle is the one that allows you to hold the position without pain. If you sit for long periods during the day, horse stance offers a specific benefit worth noting. The hip flexor muscles that shorten and tighten from sitting are actively lengthened when you sink into this wide-legged position. Many people find that regular horse stance practice reduces the tight, pulling sensation in their hips that develops after hours at a desk or in a car. Now, there is one aspect of horse stance that almost nobody talks about, but it might be the most important for long-term practice. Breathing. Most people, when they first attempt horse stance, hold their breath. It is a natural response to effort, but breath holding increases blood pressure, reduces oxygen delivery to working muscles, and makes the position far more difficult than it needs to be. Learning to breathe smoothly while holding this stance transforms the experience. The technique is simple. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Let your belly expand rather than your chest. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. The longer exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for calm and recovery. This counters the stress response your body wants to mount when your muscles are under sustained load. With practice, this breathing pattern becomes automatic, and something interesting happens. The same position that once felt like an intense effort starts to feel almost meditative. Your heart rate stays lower, your muscles receive more oxygen, you can hold longer without increasing discomfort. This is the secret that allows traditional practitioners to maintain horse stance for 5, 10, even 15 minutes at a time. Now, I am not suggesting you aim for 10-minute holds. For most people over 50, 1 to 3 minutes provides all the benefits without excessive strain. But understanding the role of breathing helps you get more from every second you spend in the position. Let us talk about frequency. How often should you practice? The research on isometric exercise suggests that daily practice produces the best results for both strength and balance. But this comes with an important caveat. Daily practice works only if each session is appropriate for your current level. If you push too hard and create excessive soreness or joint inflammation, you cannot practice the next day. And inconsistency undermines all the benefits you are trying to build. My recommendation for most people over 50 is to start with 3 sessions per week. This gives your body time to recover and adapt between practices. After 4 to 6 weeks, if you are feeling good and progressing well, add a 4th session. Eventually, you might practice daily, but only once your body has demonstrated that it can handle this frequency without negative effects. Each session does not need to be long. 3 holds of your current duration with rest between them takes perhaps 5 to 10 minutes total. This is not a time-intensive practice, but it does require consistency. Sporadic practice produces sporadic results. Regular practice, even if brief, produces compounding benefits that become more apparent with each passing month. Now, here is something worth knowing about the long-term trajectory of this practice. In the first few weeks, the benefits are primarily muscular. Your legs get stronger. Your ability to hold the position improves. This is satisfying and motivating. In weeks 4 through 8, the joint adaptations become noticeable. Movements that used to produce mild discomfort feel smoother. Getting up from low seats becomes easier. Stairs feel less challenging. These changes reflect the strengthening of connective tissues and improved joint stability. From month 3 onward, the balance and neurological benefits emerge more clearly. You might notice improved stability when walking on uneven surfaces. You might find yourself catching your balance more easily when you stumble. These are the changes that most directly reduce fall risk and support independent living as you age. And there is another benefit that practitioners often report, but rarely discuss publicly: confidence. Knowing that your legs are strong enough to support you in challenging positions changes how you move through the world. You worry less about whether you can handle physical situations. You approach stairs, curbs, and uneven terrain with assurance rather than anxiety. This psychological shift might be as valuable as any physical change. Let me share a few final thoughts before we close. The horse stance is not magic. It will not reverse decades of inactivity overnight. It will not cure arthritis or guarantee you never have balance problems. What it offers is a specific, effective, low-impact way to build the leg strength and stability that supports every other physical activity in your life. It is a tool, and like any tool, its value depends entirely on how consistently and correctly you use it. If you have been looking for an exercise that challenges your muscles without pounding your joints, this might be exactly what you need. If you want to improve your balance without risky movements, this delivers. If you appreciate practices with centuries of history and growing scientific support, this offers both. The traditional martial artists who developed this posture understood something that modern exercise science is only now confirming. Sometimes the most powerful training involves no movement at all. Sometimes standing still in the right position creates changes that movement alone cannot produce. And sometimes the simplest practices, done consistently over time, deliver the most profound results. If you are new to horse stance, I encourage you to start today. Find a wall. Lower yourself into that first supported position. Hold for 15 seconds. Feel your legs engage. Notice your body beginning to understand what you are asking of it. This is the first step of a journey that could fundamentally change how strong and stable you feel for years to come. I would love to hear from you. Have you tried horse stance before? What challenges have you faced with leg strength or balance as you have gotten older? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all and learned so much from your experiences. And if you found this information valuable, consider sharing it with someone in your life who might benefit. Sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is pass along knowledge that could make a real difference for someone we care about. This video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. If you have medical conditions or take medication, please talk to your healthcare professional before starting any new exercise practice. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your commitment to learning about your health is something to be proud of. And I genuinely believe that the small, consistent steps you take today create the foundation for a more independent, capable, confident tomorrow.